Hello everybody, I'm starting the week right here on the assignments page of one of the two major assignments for the class. You'll notice that it's worth twice as many points as the overview that you just turned in last week that you'll be getting back during the coming week, by the way. And that's not due until August 2, but it'll take quite a bit of time. But fasten your seat belts. I've got kind of a halfway point coming up for you to give you an idea how you're doing on this more challenging piece of writing. Now, the good news is, just like you incorporated part of this assignment, the wicked problem as you see it, and the overview that came after it, you incorporated one into the other, right? That first paragraph. This is no different. You're going to use bits of the overview in this, just in different spots than it was looking on the overview when you got it done. So let me explain. The overview, I'm going to just move down a little bit here. I'll go back to keep things in order. The deeper look essay is about the causes of your wicked problem. So it's different because the overview is an essay about your sources. Yes? Okay, so that's our jumping off point, really. And you want to give Chevalier's directions about framing the problem a lot of attention for this, especially as you get it going and this key question figures pretty big. I would like to see that sooner rather than later in the essay, because everything in the essay should point toward that key question that should happen at the beginning. And then his advice about root causes. So the first two paragraphs will cover these elements. Now you can make a decision on what goes in which paragraph, but my best advice is putting your key question at the end of your first paragraph and then get things going a little bit more in terms of what he's advising you in the second paragraph. And then you can jump into paragraphs on root causes. Now remember, the three sources you used, the only sources you'll need for this piece of writing, by the way, the three sources you used on the overview will tell you about root causes. Great. But remember, this is your essay too, so don't let them take it over. For that reason, and what I'm saying here is important, use them, but you're going to need to move bits of them around so they don't lead your paragraphs, because your discussion should read the paragraphs, but your sources are there to support what you're saying. They're playing a supporting role rather than a leading role this time. And those bibliographic citations you had at the end of the overview, just move them down one more page, put a title in the middle of the top of the page, call it Works Cited, and you're done there. Now there will be another design statement, nothing new there. Also, the layout will look a bit different. Some of you already used the MLA format sample I had in the Writer's Toolbox on the modules page. Everyone else, take a good look at it. It shows you how that first page should look and how your page numbers should look. Okay, now, submitting the assignment is similar to what you'll need to do to submit that you used in submitting the previous assignment. You're going to convert it to Microsoft Word using Google Docs if you don't already own Microsoft Word. And I give you the directions there as usual. But let me just point out one final thing before I go further. Avoid any solution in the deeper look. That's coming next, but not in this assignment. Here you're getting a deeper understanding of the root causes. Now here's the good news. Though it's due August 2nd, you have a draft July 26th at the end of this coming week. So let me move to that and show you how they relate. Here's the draft. It's due on the 26th. It's a tryout for the Deeper Look essay. It should cover 60% of the content of that assignment, at least the first 4 paragraphs. Okay, 60% would look like something like those important bits that I mentioned should be in the first 2 paragraphs. And then you start to connect root causes to what your sources are saying and what you're thinking about your wicked problem as Chevalier advises you on root causes. So you get that going and you'll upload it as usual, just like you will the final one that's due a week later, just like you did with the overview expert work on your problem. So you've already done this once. You should be okay with that. And during the week, at least a few days before the final version is due, you'll get my feedback on your draft, my advice going forward. Now, I'll always say in that advice, here's what you need to consider, here's what you need to do, but also be sure to read through this one last time before you submit. Okay, that's going to be your focus for the week, but keep a couple of things in mind. It's a normal week otherwise, so you will have some reading to do, and you'll see why I highlighted that things to avoid section. And let's go down to summer. We are right here. And I'll get this thing to behave a little bit. Let's refresh the page so it populates the calendar a little bit. And if this happens to you, that's what you want to do. Still not refreshing the page. Let's go forward, go backward. And for some reason, it's not behaving very well today. I'll check that and make sure that when you come on later today or during the week, it'll look normal, because it's just showing what's due Saturday. As usual, it should mention the Tuesday reading, the Wednesday first posting. So keep that in mind. And just to do away with any of the suspense, you will have some reading in our text and in Chevalier's text. He's going to talk about solutions. Do not mention solutions in your essay. That's for the next essay. But we need to sort of warm things up mentally and start ruminating about solutions, not choosing ones, just get the juices going on that, okay? So, have a great week. Get going on this draft. And any questions you have, be sure to leave in the class chat room on the discussions page. Have a great week.